Season 3.
Welcome to another episode of ScreamApura Tales. This is a series where we dive into chilling encounters and spine-tingling tales. Trust me when I say this show is not for the faint-hearted. So, continue watching if you dare. How's that for intro?
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Every dollar worth spending hiring you.
Ooh, how about you? Any
Amazing.
comments, Genesis?
You're my idol.
Wow.
Right,
Wow.
okay. That's a bit too much.
I'm
Okay,
just
coming
feeling
back.
it now.
Yeah.
Coming back to today's episode, the question is,
Yes.
are we able to understand the thoughts and emotions of animals and can we connect with them on a deeper level?
Right.
To answer this question, today we have Ezekiel.
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Ezekiel is what we know as a animal communicator. So it's a very interesting thing. I've never heard of this before. So and as a pet owner myself, I'm very intrigued to know what goes on into this whole understanding. Is this something that you were born with? Did you harness it over the years? So please feel free to share your expertise with us today.
Okay, so hi guys. Like what you guys intro, I'm Ezekiel. I'm actually an animal communicator based in Singapore. So I've been doing this for the last 10 years. So yeah, I mean this is like my full-time job now.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and I really like what I do because
Yeah.
I really get to work with different pets on a daily basis, and it's very, very meaningful. Because
Right.
you get to help them to pass messages, things that they really want their owners to know.
Okay.
And you know, the pet fur kids usually like to tell the owners how much they love them. And you know, it's a privilege to be able to be the one to pass this message for them.
I'm finding it a bit hard to wrap my head around this. What do you mean the animal communicator? Do you talk to them? Did you like pet
Yeah.
them and you understand
Is
what
there
they're
a
trying to
special
say?
language that you guys talk in?
Very,
or-
very good
yeah.
question. So, in a nutshell, animal communication means we have the ability to be able to connect to the pets on a telepathic level.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not like they bark to you
So
and then
it's
you bark
not like
back.
you whoa, bark 3 times and then it's like hello,
Are you
hello.
for real?
I have this image of him just
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
Like you have to learn
oh, he
dog
says he's
language.
hungry.
Yeah.
So he wants a low carb diet.
Yeah, so it's not like what Genesis has mentioned. So
Sorry.
it's
Sorry,
okay.
please
I'm
pardon
used
my
to it.
voice.
Forgive my ignorance.
Yeah, so it's really like how animal communicates with us is
Right.
through thoughts, feelings, sensations, as well as visual. So for example, if you ask a dog, for example, hey, what do you like to eat? So the dog may show us an image of like maybe chicken rice.
Chicken.
Oh, so you get these images inside your head.
Yeah, so I have one of the things that really stuck out to me was there was once I was talking to a Pomeranian. So I actually went to the house and then I was asking the pet, hey, what do you want to eat? The dog's name was Leo. Until today I can remember, you know, Leo. So I was asking Leo, what do you want to eat? So he looked at me and he said, I want to eat kway chap. You know, kway chap is that Singapore dish, the inert
cake.
Specifics.
yeah. So
Intestines.
when I first got that thought in my head, I was like, am I making things up? Or is it because I'm hungry?
As in
Correct.
you wanted the kway chap.
Yeah, I wanted a kway chap. That was like 10 years ago. So I was like, okay, let's just give it a shot and just tell the owner. So I actually told the guy, I said, hey, I'm not sure if it's going to make any sense to you,
Yeah.
but I heard that your pet wants to eat kway chap.
And
And
they
then
bought it.
right after that, he looked at me and I was like, yep, it's in the kitchen. Then I'm like, good.
The fella saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, I would imagine that it would be hard for you to go to places where there are strays. Do you find yourself talking to strays? And what are the? I mean, and if you have, because I'm very into like animal welfare. You know, like so whenever I go to places where there's animals, I always feel sorry for them. Like, you know, they don't have a house. You know, like and meanwhile my cats are like
roaming around.
spoiled. You know,
Yeah.
spoiled. You know, and I always like feel pity for these strays. You know, and like I would imagine that as someone who can communicate with animals, what are their thoughts if they have ever talked to you? And yeah, I would like to know. Like,
So maybe I can share something that just happened like a few weeks ago. So
Okay.
I was in Thailand with a friend called Jason. So Jason has been observing the work that I've been doing. He's a very skeptical, true blue Singaporean guy who doesn't believe in all this, you know, supernatural, airy, fairy stuff.
Yeah.
So he was observing me and then he made this comment that, hey, Ezekiel, how come every time when you're walking along the streets, I see like the stray dogs, the street dogs following you? So I say, oh, So, because he asked, so I have permission to share. If not, usually I don't share because he's going to like bash me down, right? So he asked like, hey, why are the dogs following you? So I said, oh, because they're hungry and they know that I can communicate with them. So they're like trying to reach out to me. So when I'm walking in a bag of food, right, you literally see a few dogs like trying to follow me and not anybody else.
So far you've shared all the fun stuff with us, you know, those stuff that we want to hear. Tell us stuff that
ScreamApura version of animal communication.
atrocities, horror.
Okay, so it's something spiritual as well, but more of a heartwarming segment for now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
For
So
now, okay.
for now, yeah. So for the last 1 year, we have a rabbit. You know, so this rabbit. I've been communicating with this rabbit, and I've been seeing the rabbit in person for healing.
Okay.
So this rabbit is almost 13 years old.
Oh wow.
So 13 is considered
old.
quite a senior pet.
Yeah, senior.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
senior.
So the rabbit came and then we're doing communication. Okay, and then what happened was the rabbit actually passed on shortly after. And then the owner actually told the rabbit name was Kira. Kira, if you do come back, please don't let me smell your butt because it's smelly. I want to smell the scent from your head instead of the butt. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, and then like few days after the rabbit passed, the owner actually smelled Kira, and it's the head, it's not the butt.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it's very
Bittersweet lah,
heartwarming.
in a
Yeah,
sense,
it's
yeah.
like the pet came back specifically just to let the owner feel the head and not the butt. Yeah.
Wow.
So you
Of course,
granted
if you want
all
the
that.
scary one, I do have a few. So I have
yes,
two
please.
very interesting one. The pet owners, after consulting with me, they went to bed, and then before we end the call, I will usually tell the pets, especially pets that has already passed on, right? I will tell them, hey, please, if you are free, come back and visit your owners in their dreams. Yeah, so that's like a way of comforting the pet
Yeah,
owners.
yeah.
So I have two pets that were very, very cheeky and crazy personality, just want to wreak havoc. So they came back as Annabelles, like dolls, like possessed
God.
dolls.
That
And
sounds like
then-
something we would do.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's like,
so they manifested their presence through dolls.
so what happened is they have red eyes, and then they are like,
God.
yeah, quite scary lah.
And this was in the owner's dreams.
The owner's stream. So the owners like woke up like, Ezekiel, what happens to my dog? How come he's coming back with red eyes and very
Oh,
scary?
oh my
It's like an
God.
Annabelle kind of
and
vibe.
what's your diagnosis of sorts? Like,
So I didn't diagnose so much, but I was like saying, hey, your pet is just joking with you lah. They know that you
This
like
is
to
a
watch
prank.
Annabelle, so they are coming back as a character in Annabelle.
So just fooling around, in a
Yeah,
sense.
just fooling around with the
okay,
owner.
okay.
Ezekiel, like, is it possible for animals to be possessed?
Yeah.
Possessed.
I haven't met any so far. I hope not, finger crossed. But I haven't met any. Yeah, usually the animals I met are pretty simple.
Have you heard about this?
Unfortunately, no.
Do you
Not
think
yet.
they
Not
could
yet.
be?
I'm not surprised. I'm pretty open to the idea that they may get possessed, but as of now, I still haven't experienced it or heard it myself lah.
okay. I have a question because, of course, because I'm an owner of 3 cats. So naturally, on my FYPs, cats, and more cats. And I always get this piece of information which I wanted to ask whether it's true or not. They always say that these pets are your guardians and they guard you. And then, for example, like if a cat is sleeping beside you, it's because it's trying to protect you from something, or it's trying to or if you're sick, the cat will come to you because then they will like purr and give you good energy and try to take away your illness. I do not know if it's scientifically true or not, but like, do you have any understanding of what if that is true? Because I have a story of a cat that got slammed against a wall trying to protect the owner.
What?
Oh my God.
Okay, never mind. We ask this question first.
Maybe I can share from my own experience. So
Yeah.
when I first started doing animal
Yeah.
communication, one of my first few cases was this Rottweiler. So this Rottweiler is very young, only like 7 years old, but found diagnosed with bone cancer on one of the front limb. So owner was very distressed, got me over to the house to talk to the pet. And then, just out of curiosity, because since I'm at the house, I'm talking to the person, right?
Right.
I was asking, hey, bone cancer, does it strike a chord with you? So the owner actually shared that few months earlier, she was actually diagnosed with bone cancer. And this condition is actually hereditary. That means the female owner's own mother, right, also had bone cancer. And then what happened was the pet, according to our assumption, a theory, like this is a theory, helped the owner to block. And end up the pet has bone cancer.
Oh dear.
So how we know is like, what makes us like subscribe to that was subsequently once the dog was diagnosed with bone cancer, right, the female owner's diagnosis was cleared. So sadly the dog passed away a few months after that.
Oh my god.
I mean, they don't just call it the man's best friend for no reason.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you think they managed to connect
I
in that
wouldn't-
way?
I haven't figured that part out yet because I'm still exploring. I'm quite a very scientific and logical person, so I'm still exploring this part. But
Is it then true that these creatures can see such dangers in spirits?
Yeah,
Possible.
and they try to protect you from these
Yeah.
spirits.
yeah. So I did an experiment a few years ago. So I bought, back then I had 4 dogs. So like I think 4 or 5 years ago. So I bought my 4 dogs to an open field. So these 4 dogs, like they're all boys. So boys being boys, they'll fight and they have arguments, right?
Makes sense.
So when they were sitting on the pavement, you see 4 separate boys sitting looking at the field in front of them. But once the clock struck 12, so that was like during the Chinese 7 month. So once the clock struck 12, you feel this gust of wind like just blow us by, whoosh. And then the next thing you know, you see these 4 little dogs, right, getting closer and closer, and then they started snuggling against each other.
In a way of helping each other, protecting each other.
So I think they must have seen something because they were like 4 of them were sitting with a bit of spaces, and then once it hit 12 during the Chinese 7 month, you see them like getting a little bit closer until they're like skin and skin touching.
So can we then conclude saying that they can see things?
I mean, I'm not surprised if they can, you know,
Yeah,
because you know, yeah. Okay, sorry. So back to my story.
yeah, you have
Okay. So it was shared by a person who wanted to share this story with me. So the husband is a warden in the prison, and for those of you who do not know, prison wardens, they have their own place to stay, which is nearby the prison. So you can choose to stay there. Rent the place at a special price, monthly price, or you can choose to
It's like a
stay
hostel
wherever.
lah.
Stay wherever. But because they live across the island, so they're like, you know what? Why don't we just stay in this?
Yeah.
So that place, that few blocks where all the wardens are being put up, you know, and their families are being put up, it's not a very clean place, you know, and I think many who have lived there can vouch for this. So this happened to one of these persons. So this person has a cat in the house, and she had 2 kids. So she said, I think my house, there's a poltergeist, you know, so I don't
Okay.
feel safe. I need to bring my kids out. So the husband is on shifts, right? So this happened, every time happened when the husband is not at home. So she said, whenever my husband is not at home, I will bring my kids out to my mother's house, and I'll come back and sleep alone.
Yep.
It's okay because I have to wait for my husband to come back, right? So she will leave the kids out to the family's place, to the mother's place. So she would sleep inside the room, and she would lock the door. And she said that one night this happened, it got really bad because she would always hear the TV switched on, the sofa being shifted. She would hear noises in the kitchen, someone playing with the plates and all that. This one night, she brought the cat inside the room. She locked the door, and then she was trying to sleep. It was probably like 10 plus 11. Someone tried to open the door. So then the cat just looked up, and then she said, I remember my cat going to the door and scratching the door before going, you know, like it's like that kind of cat noises where it's trying to get into a fight. And she said, I swear to God, my cat body just slammed across the room.
It was
after
like
that,
thrown off.
thrown off. And after that, my cat just went underneath
Oh my
the bed. And that's why I said, this is not happening. So she called her husband. She said, I don't care what you are doing. Come back home right now because this thing is trying to enter the room. So that was the story that she shared, which I thought was like, wow.
So she saw the cat being physically flung to the other
Yeah,
side
like she
of
saw
the
the
room.
cat. Her cat just went like, just across the room.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully didn't hit against a wall.
Yeah.
Right,
But
yeah,
just like
yeah.
as if someone took the cat and then just pushed the cat away.
Yeah.
Wow.
She said she saw that. She was like, I said, yeah.
God.
The moment you touch my cat, she said, yeah. No, she got really freaked out because someone tried to like enter the room.
It's interesting how these animals know that danger is coming,
Yeah.
and yet they put their lives and their bodies.
Correct.
Right.
That's the definition of what we call unconditional love.
That's true. Like,
They
yeah.
really loved us and they don't mind sacrificing for us. Yeah.
Wow. Do you have any
very
stories
profound.
that pertaining to like animals?
I've heard
Or
about
pets.
this one where one of my colleagues shared that when he used to live in a terrace house, landed property,
Okay.
every time during a particular timing at night, his dog would always bark randomly at spaces. And we're talking about, because it's a terrace house, right? It's surrounded by gardens and whatnot. It's just barking at random places. They thought it's just a normal thing, that's what dog does and all that. But then later on, they realized that the person living across was suffering, and then he passed away gradually. And this dog was apparently, I'm not too sure if they got someone professional like you, but apparently comforting him.
Wow.
Yeah, through his barks.
Barking,
I mean,
oh.
it sounds a bit peculiar, but at the same time, it sounds like something pets would do. I don't know. What do you think?
I would guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you were sharing this, I was just reminded of another story that just happened last week. So I had, because I was in Thailand last week, so I had this couple of owner that came to me, and then she was sharing that, hey, Ezekiel, I don't know why my cat always just froze there and just look up, like not doing anything.
Randomly.
Yeah.
Random.
Yeah.
So after that, I actually talked to the cat, and then the cat was sharing with me that, because I have a dog that passed away. So this owner actually have a cat and a dog, 2 cats and 1 dog. So the dog actually passed away recently, and the spirit was still in the house. So came back from the Rainbow Bridge to visit the owner. So every time this dog came back, the cat will be able to see. So the cat will always be holding and just looking up. Yeah. So
Wait
the
a
owner
minute.
was very puzzled by this behavior.
So even animals and spirits come back.
Yeah. So animal spirit do come. I choose to believe in that. Yeah. So they do come back in many forms. Sometimes I have stories of owners just smelling the pet. Usually it happens during the first few days. Yeah. So usually the first few
then
days.
again,
of
it could
passing.
also be psychological, right?
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
So
like
sometimes, so maybe I'll share one very recent one as well. So this pet was at the clinic that I was volunteering at. So the pet was about to pass because there were some like lung issues. The pet needed oxygen to breathe, So I was just talking to the dog. Hey, Rooney, what is your last wish? Why are you holding on? Because in a while's time, your owner may have to make the decision to
Put you down.
assist you to cross over, right? Just to make you feel more comfortable because he's suffering. So the pet told us that, I want to have some pictures taken of myself. So he's a very vain looking boy lah. Yep. So owner actually took out the phone, snap. The moment the final snap was done, you see this dog just put down the head and then just passed. So it was a very peaceful crossing over, and the story didn't end there. Few I think less than 1 or 2 weeks later, the owner actually texted me and said, hey Ezekiel, there's a moth at the urn. I say, okay, quite common. So what's so special about this moth? So on the moth, you can clearly see 4 paw prints. So the owner chose to believe that it's their dog coming back to visit them, and they sent me the photo, and I saw the photo, and I choose to believe it's Rooney that came back to visit the pets. Because sometimes, insects do fly inside the house. But what's the possibility of, a moth coming in with 4 paw prints?
Interesting.
1 small little circle and 3 dots,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
think
like,
that. I think this is something that I've heard as well, but in the form of humans now. Like when humans pass away, sometimes they come back and visit in the form of like a butterfly or a moth, right?
Yeah.
And then some people they might say like, oh, if you really are grandmama, can you please fly away now? And the moth really flies away,
It's interesting that you brought this up because there is this incident in China. I'm sure you guys have heard of.
The recent one,
Yeah,
the white
where the
butterfly.
groom was manifesting for his grandmother to attend the wedding as a butterfly, and as he was sharing his vows, a butterfly came out of nowhere, randomly sat on him, and when he was done, he cried. Yeah, he lost it lah.
Of course.
And he blessed him and he flew off. I'm sure
I
you
saw that
know.
video
Yeah,
also,
It was now that you
Very
mention
touching,
it.
yeah.
It's very interesting
Yeah.
across cultures.
Yeah,
For me,
we don't believe in all this.
no. I mean, I don't know what to believe, but like from what I know is that, sorry, this is just me taking like a joke out of it. But like, whatever animal they come in is fine. as long as they don't come in the form of a grasshopper. Okay. Because we Muslims believe that when people want to send evil spirits, that you send it in the form of a big grasshopper.
So interesting because I have one client. Yeah. So it's a Japanese Spitz, very young Japanese Spitz that had a heat stroke.
Interesting. Okay.
So heat stroke means very critical, and sadly the pet didn't make it.
Yeah.
So a Japanese Spitz is a white color dog, right?
Yeah.
So passed away, and then the owner was very sad and distressed. And then a few days later, the grasshopper actually came. And what's so interesting is that this grasshopper, only the face, right, is white. The whole body is green. And the owner sent me a picture of that. I'm
What
like,
are the odds, right?
what's that? Yeah, so it seems to be the grasshopper coming back. And you know, for me, because I'm a very scientific and logical person, I'm like, think, are you making this up or what? So I actually prompted her and asked her more questions like, how do you know it's your pet that come back? You know? So he said, I lift up my hand and say, hey, if it's you, can you please crawl up my hand? And the grasshopper really did went up the hand.
Oh my god.
So,
Easy, given the fact that you are a spiritual and a
Pause.
logical person, how do you balance this? Because there must be
There's a lot of grey area, you
Yeah,
know, like between
exactly.
sides and
I'm still trying to like strike a perfect balance. I'm yet to found it. So like sometimes I'm also very skeptical, especially when owners share about, I think my pet come back, right? So what I will usually suggest to my clients is, hey, why don't you just put a CCTV camera? And then you should be able to see if something do come back, right?
No.
So what happened was with the
What you don't know will kill you.
CCTV camera,
I cannot.
we saw so there's one owner that sent me a video like orb, you know, like a ORB, orb literally flying in, landing on the urn, going in a few circles, and then went off. Yeah, and then there's another one where it's also a CCTV. You literally see the water moving, but there's nothing. So you literally see a plate of water, and then there's some trembling. Yeah.
Okay, are you a pet owner?
I'm not. I used to have a fish when I was like 8, and then the fish jumped out on its own and it died.
Okay.
And from then on, I never had any pets.
Sorry, I'm not supposed to laugh, but that sounded so sad.
No, it's true. You know, there's this story that I grew up, or we Malays grew up, saying that if you have a specific kind of fish, ikan betuk, I don't know what is it called in English, but it's just a specific fish, not the arowana. People in the past, they believe that this thing would try to hinder or ward off evil. And if they come out of the water, it means they're sacrificing themselves so that the thing doesn't go into the house.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know whether it's a ikan betuk that you were in possession of. What fish was it? Goldfish.
It wasn't even a goldfish.
Angelfish.
It was some random grey fish. I don't know what's the name.
One of the episodes for Ezekiel Tales, we went to Bukit Brown Cemetery. Ta-da! The same
Bukit
place you
Brown.
went to. And we were, one of the tasks, because we had very, very interesting tasks, I would say. And one of them is to sit on the tomb. We didn't want to sit on the tomb at all, okay? Or at least I didn't want to do that because I thought it was extremely disrespectful for those who passed.
Of course.
So this fellas who came along, apparently they can communicate and whatnot. So they apologized, they explained the tombs that, we're going to do this for the sake of the TV show and whatnot. And my co-host, Rishita, the daredevil, she decided to sit on the tomb. Okay? I told her not to do it as usual, but she being she did it lah. Within 30 seconds, a massive, thick caterpillar came out of that tomb and she screamed for her life and she ran out of there.
Wow.
And I later on found out, I'm not too sure how this is, how true this is, that apparently these caterpillars, dark red ones, they are somehow connected to bad luck or spirits or something along those lines. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I only talk to animals. Insects, I haven't.
I was
not
about
at that
to
level
get to
yet.
that. Like, do you
Not
talk to
there
insects?
Yeah.
I only
The
tried
category,
ants.
Ants,
Yeah.
How-
Especially
do they
when the
speak very
ants
softly?
are
Do you talk to cockroaches?
not yet.
I wish I could talk to cockroaches. Like
flying ones?
Stop. Yeah, why? Want to show off, is it? just crawl away lah.
I wish I could do that for
need to
mosquitoes,
show
please don't sting me.
Who was that? The bees?
Mosquitoes.
Oh, mosquitoes.
Please, I don't have good blood.
Yeah, insect probably. But I do not know. Like, do you think that it's possible to talk to ants?
I think as a collective, yes. So what happened is, example, if I do notice like ends in the house, I'll just send out a message. So it's like talking to everybody, like all of you. I'm not
Oh, it's like
specifically.
a colony.
How do you send a message?
So it's like sending a message as in like verbally saying, hey, this is my house. Can you all build your home somewhere else instead of being my house? Yeah. So they will sure tell you don't want. So what I'll do is maybe I'll just put a cotton ball. I'll put some.
So, but do you get the image like don't want?
No, sometimes they don't even want to talk because they're chasing them away.
What do you
so
think
they
this
will
is,
not
Bugs
bother.
Life? Sorry.
Yeah, so they won't bother. They won't even want to receive your message. So what I'll do is I'll just maybe use like a cotton ball, put some like tea tree oil, some natural like deterrent, just to gently nudge them away.
Okay lah. So this one crosses into the scientific.
Correct. So that's
Sphere.
where I try to strike a balance as well.
Okay.
You did mention to us off camera that you chose an interesting path.
Yeah.
But then you switched. Tell us
Fun
more about
fact,
that.
please share with
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
What
yeah.
were you training to become?
When I was younger, I really liked kids. So I was training to become like a pastoral staff. So I went for my theological studies. And then, once I finished, I was thinking, hey, maybe I can work in a church to be, like a pastor, the children pastor, something along that line. Didn't work out because the reason given was I'm too young. So back then I was only like 22, 23. So maybe I'm lacking in the experiences of life. So I wasn't suitable for the job. So, since I'm not suitable, I started to explore other like career path, and just so happened doggy passed away, and then that's where, I started exploring more about, rainbow bridge, what's this whole animal communication thing that people talk about. So I started going down that path. And then over the last few years, I started getting interested in science as well. So I went for my studies, like veterinarian clinical science, clinical practice, animal rehab. Yep, so I'm like trying to strike a balance between spirituality as well as science.
Wow.
So before we wrap up this episode, could it be possible that doggy was your calling for you to
I
pick
would
this?
say so.
Right?
In fact, when I first talked to Doc, so the end of the story, what happened was I went to the Rainbow Bridge, I found Doggy, and the first thing she told me was, how are you? So I
still
was like
cares.
crying so badly. So, I didn't get to say a final goodbye to her because she died abruptly. So I needed a closure. So I learned animal communication so that I can talk to Doggy to say a goodbye to her. So when I finally learned how to do it, and when I go to the bridge, the very first time I saw her, the very first sentence was, how are you? So I was like, wow. And then, we had a conversation. I apologized and I tell her how much I loved her. And then, I came back physically. And then when this whole thing ended, I realized that, wow, this is such a meaningful experience that I have. It's a kind of comforting for me, especially when I'm going through this grieving period. And I hope to do something like that for other pet owners.
That's nice.
And,
I think
we have
very
not turned back
touching.
since then.
Okay, before you really wrap up,
Yeah.
just a little note. No, I said like this is a question. Like
Sure.
when you say like you go and visit the Rainbow Bridge,
Yep.
and it's, okay, of course it's not physical, right? Like probably like your soul or your consciousness in it. Like, is it within the confines of you in a room, and then you just sit down and then get to that place, or how?
Yeah, so something similar to what you just described. So we usually calm ourselves down.
Okay.
So once you're calm and in a very calm state, your mind actually slow itself down. And then through guided meditation and a bit of visualization, in our mind we're actually able to so-called like imagine the Rainbow Bridge and then make a connection in the mind.
Right.
So in short, right, animal communication is not like me talking to you directly.
Of course.
Everything is happening inside the person's head.
It's very visceral.
Yeah, it's very much like having self-talk, like, okay, what am I going to say next? So you have all these thoughts running in your own head. Oh, how should I approach this person? How should I start a conversation, right? So all these thoughts that you have, instead of it being yourself, through animal communication, through some techniques to calm your mind down. Once your mind is calmed down, then that's where you're able to pick up the frequency of the pets. And it's still all in the head. Yeah.
I want to say this is like he's like a phone, it just reminds me of a
Exactly.
phone. Like he can scroll through his contacts. It's like a doggy, because I'm sure there are many other pets who have passed on, right? But you only wanted to see doggy on the Rainbow Bridge, and then you managed to pick her
And
out,
then you connect to her and it's like what she says, it's like a
and
phone
then
call.
transmit like messages to each other.
Yeah, so I think she brought up a very good point because animal communicators, we are not like psychic. We
Yeah,
are not
yeah,
fortune teller. We can't tell you what's going to
yeah.
happen 3 months later.
Correct.
So it's just whatever that the animal tell us, we relay it to the pet owners. And of course, animals are like kids, like what I said earlier. So some animals do tell lies, especially if they are not feeling well. You know, if they're not feeling well,
They'll say
like
that they're
kids like
okay.
having dentists, you know, toothache. You ask them want to see dentist or not. Confirm they tell you don't want.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
scared of the dentist.
Yeah.
So same with the pets. Sometimes when they're not well, when you ask them verbally, how are you? They may just tell you, I'm good. Because they also don't want the pet owners to
be
worry.
stressed, worry, yeah.
So a general advice for everybody that's watching this, if your animal is not well, the first thing to do is please bring to the vet.
Yeah.
I repeat, please bring to the vet. Because a lot of times I get inquiries, hey, my pet is not eating. Can you ask my pet what happened? My pet has been very restless the last few days. Can you talk to them? Ask them whether they want to go and see a doctor or not. You know, so I feel like that is a bit crossed the line already. So if you realize
should
that
be
your pet is
proactive
not
lah.
well, bring to the vet first. Only after the vet has been consulted, then we have an animal communication session.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's
Wow.
important.
Enlightening, huh?
It
Interesting.
is indeed. Having
Very
heard all this,
interesting.
one thing's for sure, I think Doggy will be so proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Izzy, for your time.
Thank you so
guys
much.
for
Thank
having
you.
me
Thank you so
here.
Yeah.
Tune in to mewatch, melisten, Mediacorp Entertainment on YouTube, and Mediacorp social media platforms for more ScreamApura scares.
And don't forget to watch, listen, and scream. See you in the next episode.